Hola, nice to meet you. This is an honor for me. I'm a fan of yours since I have memory.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you very much.
We are here in Rock FM with the one and only Billy Sheehan, maybe the best rock bass player. For me, you are the best, of course, in my humble opinion. And we're here to talk about your next album and your visit to Spain in the 25th of June, 2023 in the Rock Imperium. Billy, I'm really honored to talk to you. I've been listening to you since I have memory. I think the first time I listened to you was with Bay or maybe the G3. You know, when I was a young guitar player, that's all you want to hear.
Right, that's true. Yeah, well, thanks for your kind words. Thank you very much for having me today. And it's a pleasure to be here.
For the few who doesn't know who is Billy Sheehan, you have played bass with Mr. B, with Steve Bay, with David Lee Roth, and now with the Winery Dogs, just for saying a few names on your list. How did you become the bass player that everybody wants in his band?
Well, I don't know if everybody wants me, but a couple people I'm happy do want me. No, I started playing in clubs when I was a little kid, and I've been playing for about 56 years now. And we just played in clubs like every band. Almost every band had the same history. You'd get together, learn songs that you loved, copy tunes, and if you were good, you got popular, and then you started to write your own songs, and then you'd put those in the show, and eventually you would make a record and people would find out about it, and then you would move up in the music business. So that's pretty much what I did, the same as most other bands. A lot of young bands, sometimes they say, oh, I don't want to play cover tunes or copy songs. Every band that made it huge was a copy band.
Yeah.
Nobody started out playing originals
and
that I know.
Not only for becoming known in the business, in the clubs, but also because that's the way you learn to play your instrument and to play like a band. That's the way you learn, copying others.
That's true. AC/DC, Van Halen, the Beatles, the Stones, everybody did it like that. And even more modern bands as well. I started out that way right out of high school. My first band was a horn band. We had a horn section. Mm-hmm. 2 saxophones, trombone, and trumpet, keyboards, bass, drum, guitar, and 3 singers.
Oh my God!
There's 11 people on the band, so that was a lot of people. And but we played horn band songs like the band Chicago, Blood, Sweat, and Tears, many bands like that. And it was a good way to start because there were great musicians in that band. And I learned a lot. And then I went on to just play straight up rock. And we played every song by every band you could imagine, by Three Dog Night, the Stones, Hendrix, Robin Trower, Crosby, Stills and Nash, Neil Young, Grand Funk Railroad, on and on and on and on. The Beatles,
everyone in the list.
So if I get a guitar and a couple glasses of wine, we can play songs all night long. I know a lot of songs.
That's really fun stuff. That's one of the best part of being a musician. That kind of night that you only take your guitar for fun with your friends, with your family.
I agree.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Some amazing nights like that.
I wrote in the Wikipedia that you can never trust, that your first album was with Talas in the 1979. Is that right?
Yeah, I actually did a record before that, I think. But it was a bunch of different musicians. I forget. No, maybe it was 79. Maybe it was the first record I did. Yeah.
So that was maybe your first record, and now you are releasing another record in 2023. So how do you think the music industry has changed in these 44 years from 1979 to 2023? Because it's another world.
Well, it's some things have remained exactly the same. Something and a lot, but many things have changed. Something has gone back to the way they used to be. For the new Winery Dogs record, we all got together in a room, myself, Mike Portnoy, and Richie, and we wrote songs together and recorded them. That was how it used to be back in the day. Then for a long time, guys would get songwriters or write songs themselves or send Pro Tools files digitally by email. So actually to get together in a room like we used to do when we first started was a wonderful thing. And the new Winery Dogs record is a reflection of why those old records sounded good, I think, because we were all together in a room working together as one band. It wasn't three individuals, it was one band. And but the music business, of course, has changed a lot. And I actually think it might be a little bit better because now things are under the control of the musician, not some record company. If you have a laptop computer, which I'm watching you on right now, you can have an amazing studio and record, and you do your whole band and write, and you have all the tools you could ever want right on your laptop or even on your phone. Almost everything you could ever need to do, you can do. You can shoot your whole video on an iPhone, and it's as good as any video was back in the MTV era. So there are many things different. You don't have a big record company coming in and give you money like we used to have. But there was always a problem with that because once they gave you money, then they owned you.
Yeah.
And you didn't want that. So now musicians can own everything. They own their songs, they own their videos, they own everything. And it's I think it's a good time. And a lot of people are enjoying a renaissance and musicians being in charge of music instead of some corporation.
I think you're right, of course, because that everyone with your phone, you can do everything you want. You have a portable studio, a video clip, everything, but also without the money of the company. How does a musician live in 2023? It's really difficult to make a living with it because of the money. And now the companies doesn't owe you, but the platforms, Spotify owes you.
You lose one thing, but you gain something else.
Yeah.
And I urge young musicians who say to me, ask me for advice, I say three things, super important. If you do these, look at everybody that did these things and how successful they are. Number one, get in a band. Get in a band, start a band, make a bond with other musicians to work together and stay together and be a band. Number two, be in a band with songs. You got to have songs. You can't just play. You need songs, and they got to be real songs that sound like songs. Get in a band with songs that you sing. So look at everybody that did that. AC/DC, Rush, Van Halen, the Beatles, the Stones, U2, everybody. That's how everybody became successful. They got in a band, they had songs that you sing. Now, once in a while, you'll find somebody that doesn't do all those things, but it's rare, and their success is usually limited. Or they came from another band that people knew them from, so they got famous in a band and they went off on their own. So I think if you are a young musician now, get in a band and start playing. Go to a local bar or club or coffee house and play. It's going to be for free at first, and then somebody will say, hey, we used to say back in the day, go to a bar that was popular and say, hey, how about if we set up and play and we charge $1 at the door and we take all the dollars from the door and you get all the dollars from the drinks. And one place we did that in Buffalo, a club called the Barrelhead. It's a Tuesday night. Nobody wants to go out on a Tuesday night. Within about 6 months, it was the biggest night of the week in Buffalo, New York. We had a line going out the door. Place was packed. We made tons of money because we played songs. We played songs that people wanted to hear. All copy tunes, all cover tunes. Then eventually we started to play originals, and And in 1979, we did a record.
That's also difficult, that transition for a band from the copy tunes to the original songs. It's always a difficult point, I think, because people say, nah, they don't play Beatles now, so I don't care.
Well, you sneak one in, you do a whole set, and then you do one original. And then you talk to your friends, because the audience is your friends. Say, what did you think of the song? The beginning was so long before you started to sing, I got bored. Okay, cut the beginning. Let's adjust it. Let's change it to have people find it to be more appealing. Not to pander to them, but to use their feedback to know what works.
You are three monsters in your instrument. You are an amazing bass player, Richie, an amazing guitar player and singer, and Portnoy, an amazing drummer. How do you do it to keep it simple, to keep it in a good way of song, not that kind of boring showing off that some musicians do?
Well, you just listen to great songs. And we know songs by The Who and by the Beatles and by everybody. And we do what they did. And you play the song. You don't play your thing, you play a song. So the song is in the verse. There's the verse. Not even moving. There it is. There's vocals. Mm-hmm. There's a drum beat. Plus, if you're singing, you have to concentrate on the vocals. Whenever I work with somebody in a band, I say, hey, do you want to work with this guy? I go, does he sing? No. I go, I'm good. Maybe somebody else. Singing is a really important thing because it makes you focus on that one thing that the people are listening to is that voice. You see TV shows in America. We got America's Got Talent, The Voice, all these competition shows where singers come on. But you don't see bass players on there or drummers or maybe not even a guitar player. Mm-hmm. It's singing. It's a voice. And so the bands I've played in, I've been very lucky to have great singers. Mr. Big, great singing and a great singer. A lot of harmony and a great lead singer. Winery Dogs, a lot of harmony. Richie sings amazing.
Yeah.
David Lee Roth, he was a great singer too. I loved, an amazing front man, an entertainer. So that's an important thing. And I think keeping that in mind, writing a song with that in mind, is a wise choice, I believe.
But also, I think that where you make the difference as a band is in the breathings of the voice. Like, is someone singing da 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 da, that kind of break is where you say also, hey, here we are. I'm following the voice. I'm in his command, but also in that kind of impasse in the 4-bar. Is where you say, okay, but I can do that too. I love it. I really love that sound.
The Beatles, Paul McCartney's all over the place. He's playing everywhere. Motown music with Jamie Jamerson, he's all over the neck. In Motown, the bass is the most active instrument other than the vocals. It's all over the neck. He's playing all kinds of lines all the time. And it makes sense because the bass has that role in a band, not to be twiddly all the time, but in between vocals, you move the chords around, and it's a matter of taste and choice. And if you've played in a band that was a copy band and played great songs, you're used to knowing when to play and when not to. Very easy. We don't ever have to discuss it in the Winery Dogs or in Mr. Big or in any other band I've played in. We've never had to discuss, maybe we should calm down here. It's never come up because we all know automatically, hey, there's voice here. He's singing. Let's hear what he's got to sing. So that's it's very common.
One of the facts that I admire the most about you is your signature sound. It doesn't matter who you are playing with, that you listen your bass and Billy Sheehan is there. I love it because it's really difficult to achieve that in the bass. It's a really difficult instrument to get that. How do you say you do that? Also with your fingers, but also with your sound, with your ear?
Thank you very much. I never tried to have a sound. I never tried, I got to have a sound. Where's my own sound? I never thought about that. All I wanted to do was hear the notes. I got to hear what notes I'm playing. The band is loud. I want to hear what notes I'm playing. People out front, I'd like them to hear what I'm doing, what notes. Whether it's a lot of notes or a little note, I want them to hear. And so I I just adjusted my amp so I could hear what I was playing. Night after night after night after night, we would perform live. I'm probably close to 6,000 shows.
My God, 6,000.
And back in the day, we would play every day of the week, Monday through Sunday. One time we played 3 shows in one day in 3 different places. Played in downtown Buffalo for lunchtime, played in the late afternoon after a football game for the crowd, packed up and moved to the 3rd place and played a club that night. I didn't really think about, do I have a sound? I just wanted to play and hear the notes. So everybody has a unique approach with their hands or their voice that make them sound unique. We all have a fingerprint. We have the iris in our eye. It's unique. Our DNA is unique. So no 2 guys could really sound alike, even if they tried. I remember back in the day, the big 3 guitarists were Jeff Beck, Eric Clapton, Jimmy Page. And we could tell the difference between them instantly. But some people that weren't as tuned in, they couldn't tell. But there is a difference. I can hear another bass player and usually tell who it is. But I never really tried to go for a sound. I just wanted to be able to hear the notes I was playing to make sure they were the right notes in the right place in the right song. And then eventually it just kind of happened. And there it is. In the new Winery Dogs record, I can hear every note that I play. Sometimes I'll do a record and I'm not sure, I can't really hear. I know I did something, but I can't hear it all. The new one really is great. I can hear every note Richie plays on guitar. Everything Mike plays on drums, every little fine point and nuance, little ghost notes and everything. I can hear everything he does. So that's, to me, a very successful record when you can hear what everyone does. The 2 songs we have out now, Xanadu and Mad World.
Yeah.
I'm looking at all the comments on my Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and all that. And people have commented, man, we can hear everything that everybody's doing. And it really makes the song work well. Nothing is hidden or obscured. We can hear it all. So your tone and your sound have a lot to do with that. Bass and drums should go together like that. So every move that drummer does, I'm playing something in coordination with him. Sometimes I'm playing just the bass note. The drummer's playing. Every time that bass drum hits a note, I'm playing a note. And usually plays a snare in between it. Ooh, da, ooh, da, ooh, da. So and from the very beginning, before I even owned a bass, before I was a musician at all, a neighbor of mine, Joe, he was a bass player. And I went to his house, and it was just him and the drummer rehearsing. I said, Joe, where's the rest of the band? Why are just you guys playing? He goes, because every time the drummer hits a drum, I got to play a bass note or coordinate something with what he's playing. And they got to mesh together perfectly. So before I ever even owned a bass, before I ever picked one up, I learned the most important thing to know as a bass player is you are doing what the drummer's doing. And when you coordinate like that, you create this beautiful, big, giant bed to stand on. A floor with 10 inches of cement.
Yeah.
Solid. And so when the guitar comes in and the vocals come in, they get this beautiful rhythm section underneath them that's holding everything together. And so learning that early on was a great advantage for me.
That's what we always say, that if the drums and the bass are together, the guitar player and the singer can be drunk, can do whatever they want, but the band is walking. The band is working because of you 2 guys. So the Winery Dogs is without a doubt the most powerful power trio ever. You are 3 beasts. How is Dream born? How do you say, we have to make a record?
Well, Mike and I wanted to start a band together. We wanted a singing guitar player. And a good friend of ours named Eddie Trunk. He has a radio show, a TV show about rock and metal. He's a wonderful man. Now, I knew Richie and I'd play with Richie, but for some reason I didn't think of him. So Eddie said, you should get Richie Kotzen. I go, oh, perfect, great idea. So me and Mike went to Richie's house in LA. I lived in LA then, and had had a little talk with him. And that very day, Richie says, well, come on, let's go in the studio. I got drums and a bass, and let's play. The very same day. So we went in. Mike sat at the kit. I had a little bass amp on one of Richie's basses. He had his guitar, and we wrote a bunch of songs for the very first Winery Dogs album that day. So right away, we knew that it fit together. It was a good chemistry. Richie's got an amazing voice and an unbelievable player. Mike, of course, is one of the best rock drummers ever, and he's a great singer too. And I was in there as well. So right away, we saw the beauty of three guys in a band. It's so much more simple. And when we're on stage, I only have two guys I've got to watch. So it's way easier than watching six guys or any more. It's way easier. So we can communicate on stage and see each other and hear each other. And we can improvise and create on our own within the body of some of the songs we already had. And it was right away a great relationship personally, too. We like to hang out and have fun, go out to dinner together. When we're on tour, it's enjoyable on the tour bus and traveling around together. And so right away, we were very, very lucky to find each other and work together so well.
It was an instant crash. You guys.
Yeah, very, very instant. Automatic chemistry, we call it.
That's really beautiful because people doesn't think about it, but a band, it's like a relationship. It's like your partners. When you break up with a band, it's really hard. It's like you break up with your partner.
Yeah, it's very much like the relationship, even as funny as it sounds, between a man and a woman. Because like, if you're in a band and then you go out and see some other band,
ooh.
What are you going to see that for? You know, it's like they get jealous. I've been in many bands, and it's an incredible experience. That's why I said my advice, number one, get in a band. I see a lot of amazing players on YouTube or on Instagram, but they're not in a band.
Yeah, playing along.
It may be because I'm old and I think that's the way it should be, and I might be wrong. And maybe if you could just go on YouTube and Instagram, you can have a career. I hope so. That'd be good because they deserve it. They're fantastic players. But if they were in a band performing live, man, it's the greatest thing ever. You go out on stage and people are there and they're just screaming and having fun and play your songs live. And it's the greatest thing in the world.
Yeah, and with the bond, the playing with others, it's like a feeling of chemistry. Like you said, that it's impossible to get other way.
It's true. And it's the greatest feeling in the world. I know in Mr. Big, we would go out and be in front of 2,000, 5,000, 10, 20, 30, 40,000 people and start to play our hit song, To Be With You. And the whole place is smiling, tears coming out of their eyes, singing along. And it's amazing. To be in a band is an incredible, incredible adventure and supremely important.
Coming back to Winery Dogs, what can we expect from your show in Rock Imperium in Murcia? What can we expect? The same of the album? You respect all the notes, you play everything the same, or you get free to some improvisation, to some jamming?
I never play anything the same way twice. Every night it's going to be a little different all the time. I was always an improvisational player. I don't read music. I don't know music theory, so I can't read the chart and play it exactly. I learn only by ear. So, and I play very improvisational. I play the song like it is on the record. It's not never going to be exactly the same. So every night we do something a little different, and it keeps it fresh. And a lot of people come to many shows. Some people will come to 10, 15, or 20 shows. And they always tell us, man, I love the way you did that song tonight because you changed the little thing. You know, they hear little differences. Some things have to be the same.
Yeah.
Because it's the part of the song. You need to hear that part. But in between, there's always a little difference in all of us. And in most everybody I work with in every band, there's some variation.
Which artist from nowadays, doesn't matter the gender, the style, would you love to work with?
One of my all-time favorites who I had hoped to play with, though I don't know if I'm good enough, unfortunately passed away a few years ago, is Paco de Lucía, who I just love.
Yeah.
And I've listened to him since the early '80s, way early '80s, and sadly we lost him. But he was one of the guys I would like to play with. But a lot of the modern stuff, unfortunately, I don't pay a lot of attention to a lot of new music. Once in a while, I'll hear something quite awesome, but I'm mostly concentrated on my own performances now, so I don't have a chance to listen to a lot of new music. But there's a lot of great new bands out there and becoming very successful too. I'm happy to see that.
Now you say Paco de Lucía, of course, here in Spain was massive, huge. Your technique, your bass technique, it's really like the flamenco guitar.
Very much.
Did you study from there? Did you drink from that kind of music to your bass?
I was on tour with UFO in Spain in 1983, and we stopped in a little shop on the road while we were traveling, and they had cassettes. I had my little cassette Walkman, and I said, Paco de Lucía. Let me get it. And I just fell in love with his playing completely. And so a lot of that, like I'll do a lot of, like a lot of strums like that. Since I'm a finger player, there's going to be some things in common. A flamenco would play, I believe, with their fingernails.
Yeah, really big nails.
On the bass, the strings are too heavy, your nail would come off. So I have to play with my fingertips. But still, I practice my fingering technique. I think there are many parallels to classical guitar and flamenco guitar, many parallels to how that works. And so Paco was a big influence on me. Because I'd hear him play these unbelievable, beautiful lines, and knowing that it was all fingers, no pick. So he was a big inspiration to me. So, and I was a very big fan of Segovia. Julian Bream was another incredible classical guitarist. So that certainly made a mark on me, on the type of musician I am.
Yeah, and also because your technique, as I see it, I mean, I don't know nothing, but as I see it, your technique is closer from the Spanish guitar and the flamenco guitar than from the American fingerstyle guitar. You know, that kind of Chet Atkins sound, Tommy Emmanuel, that kind of player. You are closer to Paco than from Tommy Emmanuel.
Well, thank you. And anything I do, if it's close to Paco, I'm happy because he is just a grandmaster. Probably when he was around, he was the greatest living flamenco. And I know there are many more players that I don't know because I'm not from Spain, and I know there's probably many other people that do incredible things with that particular style of music, which I love. I remember when the Gypsy Kings came out.
Oh. All right.
I know it's not true. It's Gypsy. It's not Spanish. I know, but they had a lot of flamenco and flamenco stylings in the music. I love that band. It was enjoyable to hear.
I'm a guitar player, and every time one of my students tell me that the bass is easier than the guitar, I play one of your videos.
They're not wrong to start on an instrument.
Yeah.
Bass is a great instrument to start on because there's so many great songs that you can play relatively simple. Now they're deceptively difficult.
Yeah.
AC/DC Back in Black. What an amazing record. One of the greatest rock records ever. That sold like maybe 30 million copies. Unbelievable. Any place you go, you hear that bell sound. For the beginning of Hell's Bells. Yeah. The whole room goes crazy. And their bass player is a genius player. Really great. He plays exactly the right notes and the big giant sound and tone, but it's not a lot of fast moving. So It's not difficult to play along with some of those songs. When you listen closely, you hear how brilliant he really is, that he creates this bass that makes the band sound monstrous and makes Angus sound incredible and the singer sound amazing. So bass is a great instrument to begin with because you can start to play great songs right away or approximate them, partially play them right. To get up and play a show with AC/DC would not be easy for anybody. I don't think this is really incredible music. So to start off, You don't need to know chords. You can just play single notes for the chord, and it's relatively easy to start with. Now, the problem is if you want to get to a higher level on bass is much more difficult.
Yeah.
Because you have big, thick, giant strings. It takes a lot of strength to play. If you're going to play a passage that is fast or quick, it's very difficult. Guitar has thin little strings.
Yeah.
And there you can play chords and strum. Beginning guitar isn't all that difficult. You learn some basic chords, but it's pretty easy, easier to begin bass. To play a G on a bass is one note. On a guitar, you got to get it's a shape, and all your fingers are involved to play a G chord.
Yeah,
so a little bit more. But so I encourage people often to play bass. Start with bass because it's a relatively easy instrument to start with. To get up to a higher level, I believe it's more difficult because it's physically more difficult to play the bass than it is to play guitar.
So bigger, stronger. That's one of the things I always love about you is when I heard the first lines with Mr. Big, Paul Gilbert, and you playing notes that with the guitar I think are really difficult, but with your strings that are like this, I think it's impossible. It's impossible.
Yeah, that's the thing physically. Now my hands. Now I'm getting ready for the Winery Dogs tour, so I'm down here in my studio and practicing the songs and playing really hard. Because when you play live, if you're practicing and playing hard, as soon as you get on stage, you realize I wasn't playing hard at all. Yeah. Now I'm really playing hard. So playing live is a whole different thing. I just got an email from someone this morning that said they went out and did their first time on stage, and they were afraid and nervous, and they couldn't play 90% of what they could play sitting in a quiet room. And I said, that's true, because playing on stage is a whole different world than sitting in a quiet room playing the notes. I see some guys, videos of their playing, and I watch their right hand, and they're barely touching. This thing just a light, little tiny pluck. And for me, live, I'm like hitting everything so and so hard that the strings dig into the metal fret. Yeah, you have to replace these metal frets every once in a while on a rock bass because you're pushing down so hard that it takes so much strength.
We all know how the bandmates are. You've been playing the bass from so many years. So how many bass jokes do you know?
I prefer the guitar player jokes.
Okay. Okay.
How many guitar players does it take to screw in a light bulb? Well, 1 to screw it in, and 20 to say, I can do that.
I can do that better.
Guitarists are a little bit more competitive. We're bass players. We hang out together. I know a lot of players, and we're all good friends and hang out, and no competition. Here in Nashville, Victor Wooten lives here. Jeff Berlin lives here. Tom Peterson from Cheap Trick lives here, and we all get along really good, and we're all pretty good friends all the time. So guitarists are a little
with a knife in the back.
A little bit. There are many guitar players. It's legendary how difficult they can be, or how much trouble they can cause. Fortunately, I haven't run into too many of them. Most everybody I play with has been fantastic. So, but we've heard some rumors here and there.
But that also talks about you, because if everyone you played is fantastic, it's because maybe you are fantastic. That's reality. That's how it is.
That's very kind of you. Yeah. Well, I'm lucky. I play with some great players. All the guitar players I work with: Steve Vai, Paul Gilbert, Richie Kotzen, Tony McAlpine. Many. It's great. Yeah, it's really cool. And great drummers, Mike Portnoy, Dennis Chambers, Pat Torpey. I'm lucky to have worked with incredible talent like that.
Like I said in the beginning, this is a really honor to me. This is like talking with one of my heroes. So I really enjoyed this time. Thank you very much.
Well, I did too. Thank you for having me on. I know I will be in Spain this year. And I remember from back in 1983, my first time to Spain, what an incredible time I've had there so many times, incredible memories in Spain. from the north to the south, east, and west. It was a wonderful country and great influence on me musically. And also, your wine is pretty good, and your ham is pretty good too. Some Winery Dogs, we specialize in good wine, so we're excited to be coming to Spain.
Oh, that's a good question. You're the Winery Dogs because of the wine?
Well, we do like a little wine. and, and we're kind of like dogs, I guess. Okay. We're all together in a little group, like a little herd of dogs or whatever. I don't know. It's crazy. Hola, amigos. My name is Billy Sheehan. I'm your bass player. You're listening to me and watching me right here on Rock FM. Gracias.